Welcome to EMAC Regional 2021 podcasts. The show is dedicated to present research results of Polish scientists as authors or co-authors of papers presented during the Regional Conference of European Marketing Academy. The regional conferences are aimed to attract researchers interested in marketing issues, in changing and growing markets, and regarding a regional perspective. The project has been supported by the Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange under the program Welcome to Poland. My guest is Malgorzata Karpinska-Krakowiak, co-author of paper presented at EMAC Regional 2021 conference under the title Quality of Academic Research on Marketing in Poland. Malgorzata, could you tell me, please, where did the idea come from to undertake such a research about academic quality of research on marketing in Poland?
The story behind this project, behind this study, is pretty simple. Together with my teammates, we were wondering what happened to marketing scholars in Poland and why most of them don't publish their work in high-profile journals, why they don't get any international research grants. Because if you just take a look at top-ranked journals such as Journal of Marketing, Journal of Consumer Research, Journal of Consumer Psychology, you can hardly find any authors from Poland there. And same if you browse through European Research Council grants. I mean, so far we've just won 10 grants in social sciences and humanities, which is nothing compared to the UK or Germany. So our scientific portfolio in marketing is pretty poor, unfortunately.
Okay, and what about other scholars from other Central European countries? Because you compare us to German scholars or UK, but what about Romania or Czech Republic? Is it the same situation?
Honestly, I don't really know. I might presume that it's a similar situation because we have similar systems, similar education system, and in Romania and here in Poland and in other Central European countries, we struggle with time constraints and financial constraints, which limits or inhibits certain activities when it comes to research. So the situation might be comparable, but still we were trying to compare us with better countries just to see what to do, how to improve, and how to, catch the rabbit.
Sure. So what was the main goal of your research?
Well, we wanted to know why this whole situation happens, right? Why there's so few scholars from Poland who publish their work in top journals. One plausible explanation is that there is probably something terribly wrong with our research. Maybe we missed something. I'm saying we because I'm also a marketing scholar from Poland, okay? So it applies to me.
Of course.
Maybe we pick wrong methods. Maybe we ask wrong questions. So to find the reasons behind this unsuccessful performance, we needed to examine how marketing research is run in Poland. So that was actually our goal.
Okay, so you did research, and what research methods did you use in your study?
We decided to run content analysis because, let's face it, citation figures or even interviews would not provide sufficient information to solve this problem. What we did, we picked two journals, two marketing journals. One is published in the US with a moderate impact factor, well below 3. And it's ranked as a C-level journal in Germany and in the UK. The second journal was a leading marketing journal in Poland with no impact factor whatsoever. But at the time when we were running research, it was ranked as a B journal here in Poland. So what we did, we downloaded all the papers from both journals that were published between July 2017 and July 2018. And it resulted in a sample of 93 papers. And then we read them, we coded them. We used over 30 classification variables. And those variables came from 4 basic categories that reflected the components of a good scholarly paper. So for example, we had to determine whether the paper attempted to substantially contribute to the marketing literature and practice, whether it offered anything new, whether all the variables were conceptualized, whether the hypotheses were theory-driven, what kind of research method was employed, whether there were any control checks employed, how the data was analyzed, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so what did you find? Did anything surprise you, or maybe not really?
Yeah, there were many surprises along the way. For example, most of Polish papers did not offer any substantial contribution to the marketing field. They were just trying to replicate existing findings, or they were just conceptual papers about some really general phenomena. I mean, these were all really nice papers, right? But they did not offer anything new. They did not try to come up with a new theory or to test some new models. They did not try to explain why something happens. And in the meantime, all the papers in this international journal provided some substantial contribution to the marketing field. Another example, experiments were the leading research method in an international journal, but for some reasons, authors from Poland relied mostly on surveys, interviews, case studies. That was pretty surprising because actually experiments are easier to run for me personally than interviews. You have to devote so much time to run an interview, right? We also evaluated how the authors analyzed their data, and almost half of Polish papers had no data to analyze. And even if they had some data, they did not run any analysis. I mean, they just presented the means and percentages without any statistical tests. And the situation was totally opposite in an international journal.
Okay, but what do you think? Maybe this is somehow connected with that marketing in Poland is not treated as a separate scientific discipline. So it could be the reason for weaker publication in this field, because, for example, the better scholars publish their papers in other fields, for example, in general management.
That could be the reason. I totally agree. And actually, we think there are two different factors behind this situation. First is teamwork. I mean, we were really surprised to see that Polish authors worked alone. I mean, almost 80% of the papers, the Polish papers, were single author papers. And for me, this is a huge problem because the number of authors seems to be the key predictor for successful publication. We actually regressed the number of authors on other variables that we had in our study. And we found that the more co-authors, the higher probability there is to produce a paper that actually offers substantial contribution, right? So working alone does not pay off. But for some reason, and I believe I know what kind of reason, Polish scholars did not work with other guys from international academia. And I think the problem is that in Poland, scholars are not encouraged to do this. Okay, we are even discouraged to work in a group because when we apply for a professorship or for a tenure, there are always some reviewers who frown upon co-authorship. But it is the teamwork that actually makes our publication successful. And another thing, another factor which is behind these results, I think, is time. It's like, I think you agree. Okay, here in Poland, we are so overloaded with teaching obligations, administrative stuff. So we actually have no time for real good science. And if you have no time, you will never find partners to work with. If you don't have time, you don't read, you don't search, you don't deliberate alternatives, you don't design a good experiment, you don't pay attention to details. Therefore, you don't run good research. So in my opinion, the real reason behind this unsuccessful performance of polls is simply time or lack thereof.
I totally agree with you. Absolutely. I think that this terrible situation we have, not only in marketing field, but I think also in broader perspective, this is the matter of rating system in Poland, and the promotion system here. So maybe this is the main implication of your research, that we should do something with that. So do you have any suggestion and any implication, for example?
Yeah, first of all, I think we need to change the academic system. I know it sounds crazy right now because we've just had some changes and they were maybe not entirely well prepared. But again, it is not that scholars in Poland do not know how to run good research. They know it, and they are pretty good at it. It's just we need some support, right? We need more time, and we need good teammates. And if we have those factors, if we have this background, then we can do marvels, right? We can perform really well.
Absolutely, totally agree. What is your plans for future research? If somehow you want to continue the research about Polish marketing researchers, or maybe you have other plans?
Actually, we do have one plan, and I think it might bring some really interesting results. We want to inspect a little bit more the diversity issues in the authorship, because this is quite interesting, whether how women versus men publish and how pandemic kind of inflated certain publishing results, and what is the interaction between how we publish and the gender. This kind of stuff. We'll see how it goes.
Okay,
and the number of authors. The number of authors is another factor that I know it's pretty important, and I would really try to open the eyes of our reviewers that if we don't have good teammates on board, we are unable to produce nice research. Really, we need teamwork here.
You have mentioned the pandemic situation, and have you published more during pandemic situation or less?
I wouldn't have published anything if it wasn't for support of my partner, and I know it. That he had to resign from certain things in order for me to work and to do what I love. So, and I know that in many families, the situation is totally reversed. It is a woman who actually gives up her beloved job because she needs to take care of the kids. And the pandemic was really a disaster. You know it, when it gets to homeschooling and stuff. So I was lucky, and I know that not many of my friends were that lucky as I was.
Yeah, that's true. So teamwork is absolutely crucial here, also in families. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Absolutely. Okay, Malgorzata, maybe you would like to add something to our discussion. What do you think about the condition of Polish science? So, do you think that only in marketing we have problems, or maybe this is the condition of the whole Polish science, and we need some improvement here?
I honestly don't know. I know what I know is that we have phenomenal people working in psychology, and they are publishing their work in really marvelous journals. I know that biology stands well, and I have some phenomenal colleagues who publish their work in really top-ranked journals. But there are certain sacrifices behind it. Okay, for example, they don't have families or they travel a lot. So again, as I said, I think we are all well prepared for running really good research, but if we don't get support, if we don't get support from the system or from our family and our colleagues, then we don't have time and resources to publish well. That's the problem.
Yes, absolutely. You are right. But I think I have already mentioned it, that I think the bigger problem is that the marketing is not treated as a separate discipline. Yeah. So maybe if you are a biologist, if you are a physicist, for example, you have also more support, because you get more support because you work in separate scientific discipline. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I agree. Totally agree. You might be onto something. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah.
But can we do with it something? I don't know.
I'm afraid we cannot do anything. That's the terrible conclusion.
Okay, but of course, always we can do better research. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay.
That's absolutely true.
Malgorzata, thank you very much for a very interesting conversation. Maybe sad, but true. And once again, thank you that you are here with me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. This initiative is really so cool and fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You were listening to EMAC Regional 2021 podcasts, and my guest was Malgorzata Karpinska-Krakowiak, co-author of paper Quality of Academic Research Marketing in Poland.